live.
It's 12:30. It's Friday. That can mean only one thing. It's a live dose of Jerry Lyons and David Mintz. Mr. Jerry Lyons, how the devil are you?
I'm really, really good. And when you said it's Friday, that song, it's Friday, then it's Saturday, Sunday. That came into my head.
That's going around your head. Well, the other song that's going around my head, this is a seamless segue again, is that song, Who Are the People in Your Neighborhood from Sesame Street. Do you remember that?
Can we sing it together? Because I do remember.
Come on. Who are the people in your neighborhood?
In your neighborhood.
In your neighborhood.
They're the people that you meet when you're walking down the street. They're the people that you meet each day.
Amazing. And the reason that's relevant is that I've been doing a little bit of Who Are the People in Your Neighborhood this week. I'm going to tell you a story. So on Tuesday or Wednesday morning, got up really early, went to one of these networking breakfasty things. And they can be a little bit hit and miss sometimes, those networking events. But this one was really, really good. Though it was buzzing. It was Visitors' Day, so there was about 40 people in the room, and everybody gets a minute to say what they do and how wonderful they are, etc. And we ended up with a few minutes spare at the end. And the fellow that runs it said, "Has anybody got anything to say?" Now, my friend Dan or Daniel, who is a criminal lawyer. He was sat opposite me, not giving me advice, by the way. He was just happened to be sat opposite me. Oh, yeah. And he stood up and he went, "I just want to let you know, David's assisted me on a particularly difficult property transaction in the past, and he did a great job. And if anybody's thinking of using him, I can recommend him firsthand. This is what he does really well." And he sat down, and I just thought that was the loveliest thing in the world. But it was also really effective. And I thought, well, why can't we just take a little bit of that and do it actually, online every day? So one of the things that I started to do that day, and I chose to start with Dan, is people who you should know. So locally in my sort of area, I've been privileged to deal with loads and loads of people over the years. And I think estate agents are uniquely placed to be able to do this because we come into contact with so many people from different professions, and everybody needs a somebody sometime, right? And you never know when you're going to need a somebody that fits into those categories. So I thought, well, let's try and shine a light on that. So I've undertaken the challenge to post one a day of my contacts, and basically those contacts are going to be out there. I'm going to do a little write-up about them, about how I know them, why I think you should know them, and how I think they can help you. And if they're supporting other causes like charities or other things like that, we can highlight that again. And I have to tell you, I've done it now for 3 days. And not only is it tremendously rewarding in terms of it's nice to be able to say nice things about people that you know and trust, but it also has been quite sort of well engaged with online. And I think that if agents want to sort of take a little bit of that, you could do it dead easy. You used to call it a help list, didn't you? Back in the day.
Not a hit list, a help list. Yeah. It's great what you're doing, and by showing you're connected, you become even more connected. Connections create connections. It's just like, I would say it's obvious, but it's not to some. So with the help list idea, that comes from, in my PR days, we'd get something we were PRing, we wanted to publicize, and we'd create, back then it was called a hit list, and it would be, normally it'd be journalists. But other times it would be, and more as social media started just creeping into it, just when I was there, this is going back about 12 years, it would be like people on social media, that sort of stuff. And we'd look at them and think, right, they're influential people. How do we get them on side? That's evolved. And like what I said to you when we were speaking off air, is the help list idea for estate agents. We use, if we refer someone, we've got 3 rules that we do in-house. And basically, they're really dead simple. Do we like them and trust them? Are they really good at what they do? Not are they good at what they do? There's lots of good people out there. We think no, they're really good. You know, and you'll know the difference. You know, estate agents. We know hundreds, but there's some that are rubbish. There's some that are all right. There's some that are good. There's some that are really good, and there's some that are just different level altogether. Now, the really good one is it's about good enough, basically. But the third thing we always say, is it a two-way street? And I see the mistake estate agents make sometimes. They try, when they're sort of like hitching their wagon to, let's say, a solicitor, they hitch it to 4 or 5 solicitors. I think you should be bold and like pick the best one, and aim for that sort of that exclusive relationship. We've done it to great effect in the business, so I'm practicing what I preach. I mean, we only really worked with one coach, or we don't recommend one estate agency coach. Yeah, that worked really well for us. We only work with, and that changed. This changed. We only work with one prospecting letter provider now, software. And there's other, like we'll only work with one designer, one proofreader, this sort of stuff. We've got a team of journalists, but that's by the by. But I've got a list, David, for you, because I've been speaking too much, and I like to hear your voice, your dulcet tones. You remind me of Sacha Distel for some reason, and I don't know why.
Thank you. I'm going to Google who he is later and find out. Is he a singer?
He's a French heartthrob. He's probably dead now because he'd be about 96. But just shout out. I can't say the word, but it's Alexa. If you said Alexa, I've got Alexa there. Sacha Distel, Under the Sea. David, it will start your day in a magical way. That's all I'm saying, mate. Try.
I'm gonna look at it. So yeah, on that idea. So I've challenged myself to do one a day. And my
bit of a challenge.
It is a huge challenge. But my contacts are very property heavy. And you might find a little bit of duplication in there, but I'm going to try and pick out something that I know about these people personally that makes them stand out. And I just think it's a lovely way of being able to help people as well locally. Let's not forget, this week has been very difficult for people in our industry, but also outside of our industry. There's a lot of people that are worried at the moment. There's a lot of small business owners that are going to need your help. There's a lot of people out there that just generally need your support. And if all it takes is 2 minutes of time to write up something about them and a photo and post that online and say, you know what, use them.
And you can also do a video if you want.
You can do.
No, but like what you're saying there, I do like that idea. I think one a day is going to be a challenge. But you were saying there, you touched on something there, and I think it's the whole point of the exercises. How did they help you? Because how they help David Mintz is how they'll be able to help all the other people. So that what was his name? Daniel, the criminal lawyer. Looks like Daniel.
It's a musical episode this week.
Let's just do that. Let's just turn this into something for the weekend. We've got to try and make songs around.
Oh, wait a second. I know something about Daniel that is a musical connection.
Go on. You can't leave us hanging.
One of his previous clients was Rolf Harris.
Oh, fair dinkum.
Listen, you can't choose. You cannot choose your clients these days. If you're a criminal defense lawyer, you've got everyone's entitled to a defense. Jerry, I won't take that. I will not take that. But yeah, no, taking examples like that, but the people that you know and people that you can trust. But more importantly, I think it needs to be people that you really do know, and not just some random contact of yours that you want to flash out there.
You would have had this before, right? The amount of times we've been asked, it's lessened now though. The amount of times we got asked, oh, if you recommend us, we'll give you a kickback. I've never done that. Maybe in the removals I might have, but that was when I was evolving into a nicer human being. But now we're like, no, we only recommend if we know they're really good. Not good, really good. Don't get me wrong. In the past, we made a couple of errors where we've recommended the wrong people and they've been a bit flighty. But that's why we rarely recommend. There's certain areas of this business we don't have anyone to recommend. Like other suppliers, I'll just say, well, to be honest with you, there's no one I'd recommend in that area. I'm not going to go into that area. But can I give you a list of
Yeah, please.
a help list that I just jotted down because I prepared for this. It weren't just me listening. I haven't just been listening to Sasha.
No, I know that. I know
Okay.
that.
Will you do that for me? Will the listeners, all three of them, just shout out to Alexa, play Sasha Distel Under the Sea. You're going to feel better about your life. You will feel better about it. If you don't, I'll send a temp. Look, Alexa's piping up in the background. Alexa, stop. You weird bastard. Here's the help list, David.
Let's have it.
I've got 8, 9, but you can probably chip in with some more. Right? Solicitors, obviously.
Yep.
Pick the really good ones. Mortgage advisors, you might have them in-house, but you might not. Yep.
Yep.
You got that? Tax advisors is another one.
Oh, that's a good one. I get asked for that a lot.
Yeah. Care homes.
That's an interesting one.
Yeah. And I'll tell you why we've got that. It's because we got that care home guide. Guy's gone in, he's built a relationship off the back of handing in 10 of these. Oh, if you get people, he's gone into his local care home, residential home. If you get people coming in and they're looking to move their mum into or dad into the care home, could you consider giving us this guide? And this relationship's working both ways because they're the same.
Very interesting.
Do you know what I mean? And that's where I think magic happens when you think slightly. I heard a great phrase and it beats, like thinking out the box. I hate that phrase. Whoever invented that phrase should be kicked in the head, right? Not literally, because, you know what I mean, metaphorically. And the phrase was, and it was from Russell Crowe, lift your vision just above the horizon. Look just above the horizon. You're thinking differently. Everyone's looking and go, oh, that's a lovely horizon. Look beyond it. That's
very philosophical today, Mr. Lyons.
Do you know what I mean? I'm not all just fish and chips and Arsenal and council banter. Yeah.
No, this is some good stuff. I'm taking notes. So we're on care homes.
Yeah, we're on care homes. Next one is my old favourite, removals. Removals, because I used to own a removal company. I know how lucrative to a good removal company a good relationship is with an estate agent.
Absolutely.
It's and what actually, there's another thing that I thought of, and this is mainly for, I'd imagine, city-based estate agents, storage companies. Another good one. Somebody's moving into storage. Why are you moving into storage? Well, we're decluttering. Oh, have you got an estate agent to Bosh?
And I have to tell you, having a good local storage company on hand, and even one that maybe you might be able to negotiate some sort of preferential rate for your clients with, can actually be a lifesaver if you've got a chain that is about to fall apart and somebody needs to break the chain, and you hear those immortal words, well, I can go and stay in a hotel a couple of nights, but where am I going to put this van load of gear?
Yeah.
You need that storage company. So definitely worth that.
Yeah. And then we've got obviously the classic one, the tradespeople. It amazes me, my local estate agent, I rang them seeking a plumber. They didn't know one. And I thought, that's poor. You don't know a good one. Does that mean there's no good plumbers in my town? I doubt it. There might be. I don't know. Plumbers, electricians, handy people, not handymen, handy people.
This is dead low-hanging fruit, isn't it, for agents? Because a lot of them will manage properties. They should have loads of plumbers, loads of handymen, electricians.
Yeah. And you just position like you're doing with your stuff. This giving people shout-outs. You're positioning yourself as connected and helpful. What great two things to be. If somebody said to you, if there was only two things people said to you as an estate agent, oh, he's really helpful and he's very well connected, that's going to make people take notice of you. Do you know what I mean? Other one is obviously house clearance. Do you know what I mean? So house clearances was an obvious one. And then I've made a note here. Ask that Sasha Distel lookalike for his.
Oh, for mine, who I'd put onto that list.
Yeah, and
I think you've got a great list there. 1 second, I'm just going to put your list up on the screen. Here we go.
I thought you were just doing like your Ocado shop or something.
There you go.
I didn't realise you were actually talking. Look at how you spell
it. List right there. I think that is a really good core list for agents to have. And I think that they could, if you're your local kind of expert anyway in terms of the area, people moving into the area for the first time, and this probably goes into your local guides if you have them online, but it's really useful to know it. I mean, I would say yes, schools are definitely going to be something people need to know about, and hopefully you'll be able to tell them the ins and outs of which school is good for what. Doctors, everybody's got to have a local doctor's surgery.
You know what? One there that I thought of. You carry on because I don't want to steal your thunder, just in case you've got to.
Doctors, dentists. My old favourite, my mate Andrew at the bakery.
Yeah.
I think he's not going to chuck me the odd bun every now and again if I send him customers. No, it's lovely to be able to recommend people that you know, but I think those are the sort of things that people want to know. And if they're from out of town, they're doing viewings in the area, and you'd be amazed at how many people consider moving to an area without fully checking it out. But if you know that there's a local coffee shop where they're really friendly, and that's the best example of your local community, just recommend that before they get back on the motorway, why don't you spend 5 minutes at the coffee sack down the road? They'll look after you. Tell them Jerry sent you.
Let's say that. Make sure they know what. Yeah, and you know what?
Jerry sent you, and they'll charge you double.
I'm so glad you said that one, because I've written it down. Coffee shops. I've got the example. Our local estate agent, who doesn't know plumbers, but he does sell a lot of houses, and he's in the club, so I can't slag him off too much. Always swears by the fact that he gets so many referrals from the local coffee shop. Like, because the guy is like our local coffee guy is brilliant. Namir from Kosovo owns the coffee shop, brilliant, best coffee in town, very chatty. Somebody go, I'm thinking of moving. Oh, you should speak to XYZ. Do you know what I mean? And he said the amount of times, the estate agent said the amount of times he had someone, oh, I was having a chat with that nice fella in the coffee shop, and he said I should give you a call just for a chat about my property. So it's incredible. When I was a journalist, you know what? You want to know the 3 people that we used to always try to make friends with?
Go on.
They were actually on our training, or on a training course for journalists when I was studying. Taxi drivers, stroke minicab drivers, because they have people jumping in the back of their taxi going, oh, you never guess what? I saw this, that sort of thing. And they're mobile. Publicans, this has changed a bit now because I think people just get drunk at home. Publicans and hairdressers.
And do you know what they all have in common? These are all people that just chat all day to other people.
But this is why. This is why they're on the help list. Do you know what I mean? Because they chat, oh yeah, blah blah blah. You know, and but I do think we have to make this point, because I see it a lot with suppliers in the industry trying to say he's brilliant, she's brilliant, but you're telling everyone that 5 people in the same industry, the same sector, are brilliant. They're not. They're not. Do you know what I mean? Pick the one who's really, really good, that you know, like, and trust. Yeah, and remember, it's got to be a 2-way street, because otherwise resentment builds. So if you keep recommending people, recommending, it's not coming back. What sort of partnership is that? That's not a partnership. You know, so I think they're the 3 sort of fundamentals we work off, and it's worked well for us.
And some people might be asking, why are they papping on again for the 3rd or 4th episode now about community engagement and different ways of being able to do this? And the simple answer to that is, at the moment, if you're scratching around looking at the news, wondering how you interpret interest rate rise and all the things and anxieties that people are worried about, well, as an agent, there's very little that you can add to what they already know. You can try and shape it one way, you can try and tell them to hang out there, but a lot of people are finding it a very challenging environment. So how much better is it to be able to concentrate on good local stuff? Because that is what another content provider I occasionally spoke to calls evergreen content, because you can use that in any climate, in any economy, no matter what's going on, helping people in your local community.
That evergreen content, we were doing that 3 years ago in lockdown before anyone else. Just saying. First ever follow, brother.
You know what? I'm beginning to pick up that the content side of our industry, in terms of suppliers, is ever so slightly competitive. I get that, but I want to make clear to all the boys and girls at home: choose a content provider that you feel really fits your own tone of voice and personality.
100%. Everyone is not for everyone. Put it that way.
That's true. That's true. What else have you picked up this week online? What has occurred to you, Jerry?
What's occurred to me? When did they announce the interest rate rise?
I believe, was that yesterday? It's been a long week, but I think it was.
What's really weird is there's been an interest rate rise, but I didn't notice it, so I didn't panic about it because I think I was offline that day. For some reason, I might have just gone into monk mode and was writing a load of stuff. But it's so interesting how if you wake up in the morning and the first thing you do is look at BBC News or, God forbid, look at Facebook to get your news, I think you're starting the day badly. Take the dog for a walk. Do something positive. Do you know what I mean? Get mental habits.
I agree with you, and I think that news and it is all about timing, really. So I now make a point of not reading any news content late at night because genuinely that's a time where I personally struggle at night. My mind races, and I don't need to fixate on negativity. Yeah. And there's very little positivity in the news and the way that they sell it. I have seen some horrendous headlines this week written and really just panicking. So, you know, they've seen an interest rate rise. They now assume this is the worst it's ever going to be. We've never had it in all of history. Well, we all know that interest rates were like that when Jerry was buying his first house. It was back in the day when all the houses were in black and white. And Jerry pulls up to his first viewing on his penny farthing bicycle, and he bought it for
I nicked it
up until a halfpenny. But basically, back in them days, you were paying interest rates of, in my parents' generation, what, 15, 16, 17% in some cases. I think when I started selling houses in back in the day, 7.5% was low. Yeah. So to have these sort of historically low levels, I don't think sometimes we understand how good we had it, but it's certainly not the worst we're ever going to have.
I think we've been really spoiled by this recent market, especially when we didn't expect it to happen the past 2 years, and it's just exploded. We've been spoiled. Well, man, working class Irishmen just always used to say about when things were like this: just work a little harder. Just graft a little bit more than your rivals. That is the advice I give to our daughter. Just work a little bit harder.
You know what? There's some truth to it. You know my good friend Neil Giller. You've bumped into him online.
Yeah. He's from my old good.
Neil's like you. He can't help saying it like it is. But when I talk to Neil about business and about recessions, and he said there's only one way to beat a recession, he said, and that's to make more money. And it means that you need to work harder and you need to double down on the things that are working. What's really interesting, I watched another podcast last night. Very rarely dabble in other people's, but my guilty pleasure is Martin Baum and Katie Griffin. They have their House of Property podcast. I love they're just a great pair. They've got this
Holly and Phil of estate agency podcasts.
They are, aren't they? They've just got this energy. I like listening to them. But one of the things that he said, and I think they've talked about this before, is that we all moan about when things go wrong, but when things go right in your business, write it down. Write down what happened that day, so you know how to replicate that again. So, for instance, if the team had a great result because Jerry managed to land a valuation that under very tough circumstances, it was followed up by David, and then Holly jumped in at the end, and we made the whole experience really, really useful. Well, we know that that's what works. That's what brought about the good result that we had, and we should try and team up in that way again. So I actually think that if you then document it in the way that Martin and Katie were suggesting, by the end of the year, you're going to have a playbook of how to run a great agency, and you know what to avoid.
Yeah, it's amazing because Agent X's agency they hold mindset meetings. Mindset meetings. Think about that. What's tautology mean again? It rings a bell.
I'm gonna.
I don't know
Do
what it means.
you know what? I think it's something to do with words.
Two Titans. Is that from Simon Well? That's his. Yeah.
That is Simon Whale. Simon Whale is on location today. He's been hanging out at the Agent Rainmaker conference, and it looks very, very well attended and very good this year. Tautology is saying the same thing twice over in different words, generally considered to be a fault of style.
Yeah.
Do you know what? He's just bitter that we didn't invite him to this.
Yeah, I don't particularly like him.
Well, you know.
You don't. You said to me off air. You said, "I'm so glad he's off on location."
I tolerate him. The truth is, I tolerate him.
I'm confused. Can I just ask, Rainmaker? What is that? I've seen it in other industries. You know, like such and such. Right? I've seen.
So Rainmaker, I think, is said in reference to people that make it rain, and as in make it rain money. So a rainmaker at a solicitor's firm would be like a lawyer.
Americans, right?
Yeah, American. Yeah. So Agent Rainmaker is a little bit like that. It's got a slightly evangelical kind of American. It's a production. It's a real sort of. You need to be enthusiastic to be there. And
I couldn't go to that.
You're not enthusiastic, Jerry.
I just can't do them sort of things now. I'm at that point. I feel like the Roy Keane of content a lot of days. I just think that's shite. That's rubbish. They're not telling the truth. That's what I feel like. I wanted to go around 2-footing people in a tackle. Football fans will know that reference.
You know what? Next week on this podcast, we're going to come up with some ways that Jerry can handle his anger and perhaps channel it into more productive things. Jerry, what have you got on this weekend, my friend?
Nothing. I've got to put summer furniture away. Garden furniture.
I think it's, you're well into autumn. Get that summer furniture away.
I've got a broken light that's been broken for 3 years. And I've just fixed it.
Listen, can I ask you a question? Because I don't have Christmas trees at home, right?
Yeah.
Is it time to put up a Christmas tree there?
No, that's
too early.
That's crazy. I think her name was Margarita. She was Spanish and she lived on the estate. She used to put decorations up. Honestly, we would be going back to school after the summer holidays. Margarita, a little bit of that Spanish Feliz Navidad. Mad as a March hare.
I love that. I love that.
She was mad as a March hare, but everyone loved her.
Okay, everybody, that's Jerry's position. You're a bit more bar humbug than you are really looking forward to it.
No, I like Christmas. I like Christmas a lot.
Yeah?
I just, you know what it's like. You get to a certain point, I think maybe it's in life, and just think, nah, that's nonsense. Christmas
Have you got your tinsel?
Tinsels. It's up in the loft. It's probably damp and eaten by rats.
Have you got your Christmas jumper?
I might get.
Wait a second. Have you got one of these? Look at that.
What have you done? Have you burgled a pound shop?
Oh, I've gone full. I have gone full Christmas, and of course the obligatory Santa hat as well.
I know what's happening. Is it the Kerfuffle Christmas card shoot coming up?
Basically, today we are starting the Kerfuffle Christmas Advent countdown. We're starting to film them, which means that at the beginning of November, I need to get a little bit more Christmassy. I always thought it's ironic that they make the Jewish guy get all Christmassy, but you know what? I love it. So it's going to work. It'll be fine.
It'll be great. And can we finish with a song? What song can we finish on?
Well, give us a Christmas song then, Jen. What's your favourite Christmas song?
Oh, that's a good one. What's the one by, it's not Johnny Cash, Johnny Mathis. Mary's boy child, Jesus Christ, was born on
Christmas Day.
I hit that. Or Bing Crosby and David Bowie.
That's a good classic. I always picture you as a little bit more of a, who's that guy? Jonah Thingy Bob.
Lomu.
Yeah, is that him? No, he's the rugby player.
Jonah Hill, actor. Lost along the way.
Who sings that?
Have you heard the Czechoslovakian Christmas folk singer who's like, she's absolutely burning up the market?
Go on.
Oh, his name's Mr. Vark, Jonah Vark.
And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, have a wonderful weekend. We hope we didn't disturb you too much with our singing and our crass jokes. We'll be back next week with more PR and content problems. Take care.
Adios.